So library management tools. So first of all, we'll have a look at item classification. So how you can organize and categorize your items such as raw materials and formulations, and also how you can customize your search via the item class in the composition design tool when you're searching for items. We'll also look at the status of an item and how changing the status impacts the search behavior. And then we'll take a look at adding character class and character notes, sensory descriptions, marketing notes, applications, and how this information can be used for searching and reporting. So just before I get into the training, go into Formpak. Okay, so I'll just let you know about our new Snazzy Support Centre. So we've got a shiny new Support Centre portal. So if we just click on this. Okay, so here you can access support articles, training plans, quick start guides, links to videos, key updates, and other downloadable content. So it's a much better search functionality and it just makes it easier for searching relevant articles. We've also got the support requests as well. So queries can be submitted directly through the portal and then a member of a team will respond to you. So that's super useful. Okay, so let's now have a look at the different tools available in Formpak and how we can use those tools to help you manage your library. So the first thing we'll have a look at is item type. So I just pop item type in here. Ooh. Review an item type. Let's have a look at flavour. Okay, so item type is a broad category that can include multiple item classes. So for example, flavour, it might include item classes such as dilution, solution and base. And item types help distinguish between different kinds of behaviour. And also a thing that distinguishes between organisation and behaviour is the item class. So if we just have a look at item class, we just pop in fragrance in here. So fragrance formulation. So item classes provide a more detailed level of organisation within each item type, and they also control certain behaviours as well. Such as user access control. So permissions can be limited by item class, meaning you can control who has access to specific formulations or raw materials. And this is useful, for instance, if different divisions manage their own products, or if only the regulatory team should be able to edit regulatory use raw materials. And also automatic code generation. So each item class can have its own code format, item codes for formulations and raw materials, etc. And also they can be automatically created and you can set up item code sequences dependent on user ID as well. So each user can have their own specific item code. And then global composition changes. So you can apply global updates or changes to formulations based on item class. So for example, if you're updating only formulations in the flavour item class, and then you can exclude those in the fragrance item class. And find matching items. So in find matching items, you can also search by item class to locate specific formulations or raw materials more easily. And then property calculations. So property calculations can be limited to certain item classes, but by default calculations apply to all item classes, which is usually the best practice. Okay, so you can also change the item class and item type of an item, and companies often change the item class of formulations. For example, an item may be changed from a development item class to a sold formulation item class. And you can also use item classes to hide items. So for example, assigning an obsolete raw material to an obsolete ingredients item class to stop the developers from using them. So you can change the item class and type of an item. And to do that, if we navigate to change item class of an item, okay, and then if we just pop our item in, So it might be fragrance flowers, and we can see current item type is fragrance, and we might want to change it to a finished product. And then the new item class is going to be cosmetic product, and then we can just save it. And it asks us, are we sure? And we just click yes, and it makes a change for us. I'll just save and check this in. Okay. And the next thing I want to show you is limiting the visibility of items in the CDT. So I'll just navigate to modify formulations composition. And pop my item in. Click save, and then it takes us into the CDT here. So if I just click add, now it creates another line for me. So in the instant search, the functionality is that you can filter items by item class. So this is the CDT, Composition Design Tool, and each user can set their own default settings for the required item classes, as well as deep search. So in the instant search box, if you can select the relevant item class that whatever you want. So if we just click on item class, and it gives us the options here to select which item classes we want displaying in the CDT. So we can see that we've got regulatory raw materials and also Formpak raw materials selected. So those are the ones that will appear. And if we save as default, then those item classes will appear every time we go into the CDT. Okay, and also as well, we've got additional columns that we can include. So if you just select the columns or unselect the columns, whichever you want to appear in the CDT, and save as default, then obviously it'll appear every time for you. Okay. Also as well in the CDT, the smart search is designed to display items alphabetically, and sometimes this behavior is not always conducive to formulating. So what you can do is you can change relevant formulations or raw materials to inactive on the Key Details tab, and it stops the raw materials appearing alphabetically in the Smart Search, and then stops the material from being automatically selected when copying and pasting in formulations into the CDT from an Excel spreadsheet. So if I just demonstrate that for you. Okay, so I just get my formulation, just copy that, go back into Formpak, get rid of that, and then I just click paste and click off it. Okay, so we can see there that it's populated some of the regulatory raw materials, and we don't want that. So what we can do is we just go into those. So if we just view and edit, and then just change it to inactive, and then save, and then same with the next one. So view, edit, and then inactive, save. And then if we go back to the point in time, to the original composition, and then we just add an extra line and then paste our formulation in again, we can see there that the regulatory raw materials haven't been selected. So that's one way to limit the items in the CDT. Okay, so let's just save and check that in. Okay. So the next thing we're going to have a look at is recoding items. So This option is used to assign a new code to a raw material or a formulation. So a common use is to update a developer's code reference to a final formulation code reference. Additionally, as well, the item class of the item can also be changed in this area. So if we have a look at assigning new code to the item, so assign new code to item and then import our item. Okay, we might want to change the item class, but we don't have to. If it's in red, it's mandatory. So those are the things that we need to populate. So the item code sequence, we might want to change it to a finished product code sequence. Okay, and if we select record all code, then that'll store the developer's code in the experimental code. But if you want to use a code again for a new item, don't tick record code option. Okay, and then if we just click save, and it says, are you sure you want to assign the new code to item? And just click yes. And then it's asking about the cross references. Do you want these to be changed? We just click yes, and it's changed it for us. Okay, so with this feature, there are associated permissions that will be required to change the code of the item. So operation permission, assign new code to item, and additionally as well, there are separate permissions for formulations and raw materials to specify which item classes can have their code and item class changed. So if we just have a look at the permissions to see how they look. So we'll have a look at the permissions on formulations. So my permissions. Okay, so we can see the item class here down the left-hand side, and then on the right-hand side, we see the permission assign new code to item. So if you have that permission, you can assign a new code to the relevant item class and also the operation permission assign new code. Okay, so the next thing we want to have a look at is adding characteristics to formulations. So if we have a look at character class and character notes. So if I just modify a formulation and pop the formulation in, citrus fragrance, and go into the classification tab. So character class and character notes can be used to describe characteristics of items, so formulations and raw materials, so including odour, taste, feel, and benefit. And these characteristics are judgment based, so the classifications are assigned to help users find products which meet the criteria requested by customers, and they're also commonly used when there is a large library of products. So each company defines their own character class and character notes using add a new character class and character note. And character class is the most defining characteristic. So only one character class can be assigned to an item, such as floral or citrus for a fragrance, or maybe sweet or savoury for a flavour. And character notes allow for a more detail because multiple character notes can be assigned to an item. So character class and character notes can be used independently of each other. So it might be zesty lime and zingy, lemon, or buttery and meaty for a flavour. And as well as being useful to know about products, character class and character notes are also searchable attributes in find matching items. And then we've got sensory description. So you can add a sensory description using descriptive words to appeal to the customer, such as an odour or a taste, to create a vivid imagery and evoke emotions. So making a scene or a subject come alive and become more immersive. So it might be taking a walk through a damp and mossy forest on a sunny autumn day, or a salty brisk walk on a windy beach. So that kind of sensory description, or whatever you like in their sensory descriptions. So intended applications. So what the fragrance or flavor is intended for. Is it a candle? Is it face cream? Is it, if it's for a flavor, is it a sports drink or confectionery? And you can also include intended dosage as well. What amount is to be added to the application? And you can also add multiple if it's suitable for more than one. So, intended parties, it's not as fun as it sounds. Parties can refer to customers or maybe even other affiliates of your company. And then marketing class. So, marketing class and marketing notes can be used to describe items, formulations, and raw materials. So, market class and market notes are usually used in relation to market products, either to manage a market product library or to relate your product library to market products. So, examples of the characteristics could include the market sector, but these are judgment based and relate to the commercial interests of your business. Market class could be Tesco, and market notes maybe could be laundry, but it's entirely up to you. So the classifications are assigned to help users find products which meet specific criteria and are commonly used when there's a large library of products or market products. So each company defines their own market class and market notes, and you can add those using add a new market class and add a new market note. So the same with character class and character notes. Market class is the most defining characteristic. Only one market class can be assigned per item. And then market notes allow for more detail because multiple market notes can be assigned to the item. And they can be used independently of each other. And as well as being useful to know about products, market class and notes are also searchable attributes in find matching items. And you can also copy the attributes as well from an existing item. So you just select which attributes you want and click OK. And then obviously it'll copy the information over for you. So the next thing we're going to have a look at is searching and reporting for items. So search for an item, find matching items, baskets, and also generating an FMI report, a find matching item report. Okay. So if we go back into Formpak, and then we're going to search for an item. Gonna navigate away. Okay. So search for an item. So you can search for items using specific criteria or a combination of search criteria. And you can use identification information such as a code, a cross-reference, a name. You can also search using description and the comments. So those fields are from the key details tab of an item. And you also have the option to search by composition type or even specific item class as well if you wanted to. You have the options to search by creators and modifiers. You can search by using prices and items added or modified within a certain time frame. So any of the above can be used or part or combination of search criteria. And then once you've found the relevant items, you can generate a list of items by clicking print. So if we just have a look at our formulation, so if we just click search, okay, and we can see here that we've got a list of our formulations. And then if I just click print, it gives us a customized column box. So the customized column box, we can select any of the criteria that we want to appear in our report. It might be the unit price, it might be the item class, might be the creator, and also we've got the option to change the format as well. So we can have it in PDF, or if we wanted to, we could have it in Excel. And if you click print, and open the report up, it's got our report for us. So we can see it's got the code, the name, experimental code, item class, unit price, and creator. And you can select whichever criteria you want to include in the report and then customize it. Okay, so if I just close that, well, we don't need that anymore, so I can get rid of that and get rid of that. So that's how you use search for an item. So that's quite useful area that you might want to have a go at. Okay, so you can also here, you can add items to baskets if you wanted to. So if we wanted to, we could add this to a basket. Okay, so we could add it to basket 4. And it successfully put it into our basket for us. So baskets are a key way of moving raw materials and formulations around Formpak. So there's 100 baskets available per user. And baskets can also contain party applications, cross-references, project properties. And to access baskets, it's just located at the top right here button. But you can also use baskets from viewer formulation, raw material, find matching items, projects and tasks, and obviously search for items as well. So you can do many useful things with baskets. So if we click on it, you can rename it. So you can call it whatever you want. We could go to manage. Okay, so we've got some of these options at the top here. So if we click on it, we can generate cross references if we wanted to. We can check suitability. It'll take us to the check suitability option. We can print, so we can print this information that's in the basket here into a PDF. And we can also print documents and labels for these items. It takes us into print documents and labels. So baskets are super useful. Okay, so let's have a look at another searching area in Formpak. So if we navigate to find matching items. Okay, so matching items can be used to find multiple things using multiple search criteria. So it's possible to find products which have multiple matching attributes and also report on them as well. So let's have a look at character class and character notes. So if we search by character class and character notes, so we go into our library details, okay, and just open it up. So our customer has requested a suitable citrus fragrance, so that's what we're going to have a look for. So if we input our character class as citrus, okay, and our market note as lemon, okay, and then we want to make sure that this is suitable for our particular customer. So if we just scroll down a bit and see where it says suitability check, we just want to change that to yes. And then we want to put our customer in here. So we just say big customer USA. Okay. So if we just click search, so the system's checking the items that have the required character class and character notes, but it's also checking whether it meets the suitability constraints that are set up for that customer. And if it's suitable, we'll see a green tick, but if it's unsuitable, then we'll see a red cross. Okay, so we can see that they're all unsuitable, but there is 3 pages there. But I won't open the pages up, otherwise it'll do another little suitability check, which might take a bit of time. So I'll just print the report just to demonstrate. So we can print a report. So if I just go to print, then again, it gives us a customized column box. So we could customize a report. So we might want to include item class. We might want to include the date that it was modified. And also, if we wanted to, we could add additional properties. And in the column tab, if we just scroll down to the bottom, it gives us the format of what we want. So do we want it in PDF, HTML, Excel, CSV? So we're just going to choose Excel, and then we're just going to print. Okay, so it's generated our report. So if we just open it up and have a little look at it, okay, so we can see our report here. So it's given us all the information that we've requested. And if we wanted to, we could data sort it because it's in an Excel format, or you could save it to your computer, whatever you wanted to do with it. Okay, so if we just get rid of that, and then we just click reset, And then we might want to have a look at another option of reporting. So you might want to look at exporting a list of raw materials out of Formpak into an Excel spreadsheet with their associated hazards and precautionary statements. So if you wanted to do that, you could just unselect formulation. Okay. And then you could just select search and it will give you a list of all the raw materials that are present on the system. And then if we select print, it will give us the customized box. So we might want to select CAS number because the raw materials and EC number. You might even want the FEMA GRAS number if it's suitable for flavours. And then the properties. So with the CLP properties, there is a limit on 10 properties, but there's a composite GHS CLP property, which is CLP full sum or GHS full sum. There's also one for OSHA as well, which is OSHA full sum, which lists the full hazard summary. Alternatively, you can add the individual properties if you wanted to, but I think the CLP full sum is quite useful as it gives you the summary of the hazard statements and also the precautionary statements as well. So if we just select that and then go back to the first tab, and then we just want to change the format to Excel, and then just click print, and then it generates our report for us. And if we just open it up, okay, so we can see that we've got our items, our CAS numbers, EC number, FEMA number if it's got one, and it's also got the CLP full summary as well. So it's got the hazard category, H statement, and also the precautionary statement number as well. Okay, so let's close that. And then let's just do another one. So if we just reset it. Okay, so you might want to search for items created by specific users. So with the option to specify a time range. So if we go down to the bottom, and then I'm going to pop me in. So I want to look at all the formulations that I've created during a specific time frame. So if I just untick raw material, and then I'm going to look at the formulations that are created from maybe the beginning of the year, the 1st of January, up until today. And if I just click search, it gives us a list of formulations. And then if I click print, I can generate a report for it. So creator, created date, and any additional information that you want to include on the report. And we want it in Excel. And I'll just print it. Okay, and then it's generated the report. So you can see that I've generated all those since the beginning of the year. So if we just get rid of that. Okay. So it's useful if you want to see how busy your developers are. So you can see how many formulations have been created by a formulator in a specific date range. So let's go back to our presentation. So what's next? So item management. So we're going to have a look at a print where use report and also global find and replace as well. Let's go back into Formpak. So if we just start typing print where used. Okay, so this is a search tool to find where specified items are used in the composition of other items. So in the item selection, specify the item or component you want to search for. So you can use a plus button to add additional items. And when searching for multiple items, you can use the and or function to specify if the items should contain all, which is and, and of the listed components, or any, which is all of them. So you have the option to add a concentration range for the components, the implosion type, so which is a drop down. So you've got the physical implosion or the regulatory implosion, depending on what you want to focus on, and then the implosion depth. So is it one level or is it all levels? And then in the composition section, we've got the formulation and also raw material item classes again, if you wanted to select it by item class. And you can also focus the search for items sold to specific companies or since a certain date. And again, we've got the format to change it from a different format to PDF, Excel, or whatever you want. So if we just input our item, okay, and just click print. Okay, so we can see that our item has been used in two formulations. And if we wanted to replace our item with another material, we can do that if we wanted to in another area of Formpak called Global Item Composition Modification. So if I just show you that, okay, so this area allows you to change one ingredient for a different ingredient across all specified compositions. For example, you might have to replace a raw material in all formulations as it's now prohibited, or you might have to replace a material because you've changed suppliers and or you can't get a specific material. So all you would do is you'd input the original item and the replacement item. And then you can select a concentration range if you wanted to. So, for example, the original item could be lemon, replacement item could be lemon essence, and the concentration range could be 10 to 20%. And this targets a change of formulations containing between 10 to 20% of lemon. And the composition version comment field allows you to add reasons for the global change just to aid traceability and formulation control. And then when they're performing the change, the version numbers of the composition are incremented automatically, and the original formulation becomes outdated, and the modified formulation becomes the current version. And as with other formulation composition changes, the outdated version is retained in the application, and it can be seen using few previous versions of a composition. So if we pop our items in, okay, and just click search, we can see there that we've got three formulations that have affected. And if we wanted to replace it, we just click replace, and it asks if we're sure. So we just click yes. Okay, and we can see that it's been replaced. So if you just select the link that it's provided, we've got a record there of the items that have been updated by the change. And if we wanted to, we could save that for our records. Product lifecycle tools. So we're going to have a look at view previous versions of compositions and view previous versions of item properties. So view previous versions of a composition. So if we enter an item code here, okay, so we can see that this formulation has got previous versions of its composition. If we click on one of them, we can view the composition. It displays the composition details for us, or we can actually view the item, and it just takes us to key details. Okay, and we can also compare previous versions of the composition as well if we wanted to. So if we just select all of them and select compare compositions, okay, it gives us all the compositions in the CDT. So we can see the original composition and then the most recent composition here at the end. So this feature ensures you can track modifications over time without altering the current version. But for more advanced comparisons or related tools, for example, side-by-side formulation views, you can go directly into the composition design tool in Formpak in modifier formulations composition. Okay, we'll get rid of that. And then the next area that we're going to have a look at is view previous versions of item properties. So if we just pop our item in here, okay, so we can see our item and we can see the property version is the current version, but we can go back to a point in time. So we might want to look at the original version and we can select which property group we want to have a look at as well. So we might want to look at the transport hazards, or we might want to look at the GHS information. And if we wanted to, we could view a report on the change summary as well. So it gives us the option to the version of when it started, and then when you want to finish the report. So we might want it on the current version. And if we just click View Report, it generates a PDF document with the changes for us. Okay, so we can see those are all our changes, which is super useful. Okay, so that concludes our training session today. I hope it was useful.